were you in favor of the change for replay to include pass interference, offensive and defensive pass interference, as somebody who obviously played a position as you did, and now you're in the position that you are in right now? Were you in favor?
To be honest, and this is kind of a weak answer, but I had mixed emotions because you watch something like that, which happened in New Orleans, and of course you don't want that to ever happen again. But I also knew from having been around this league, sometimes when you do something like this, you open up Pandora's box, and where does it stop, and what are the unintended consequences? And I think this is a big material change, and everybody's sitting here now. It's the way it is, thinking, okay, how's this going to play out? And how are coaches going to save so that at the right time they can go throw that flag, and it's going to be really interesting. Now, the good thing from experience is I think you've seen it over the years, I've seen it over the years. Typically something like this, you think it's going to be a huge deal, and it doesn't typically play out to be that fundamental of a change. I'm hoping that's the case, and I'm hoping it can help prevent a situation, but I think only time will tell, and we're all sitting back and still trying to figure out exactly what this means.
Yeah, the unintended consequence, what it looks like to me, John, is going to be when you open up replay to review something, then anything that's allowed to be reviewed gets reviewed. Yes. And fans thought, let's put this in here to avoid another NFC Championship game from happening. That's cool. But when suddenly, they're looking at 12 men on the field, and then the play later on, it's not 12 men on the field, so the play stands is called. But we noticed looking at the all 22, somebody pushed off. And then suddenly you're like, well, where did this pass interference play come into bearing? Like, what happened here? And that's the unintended consequence. Certainly, if it happens in the fourth quarter of a game, it's going to drive some people nuts. So I'm wondering what will happen then. That's my issue.
So am I, and I've been privy to a lot of these meetings, and I think the league. I appreciate the honesty, but I'm kind of like, well, we better figure this out because I've heard a lot of different versions of what it is. I've heard, hey, this is only to prevent something like what happened in New Orleans, but the standard rule in replay is exactly what you've said. Once you open that, everything's under review. So, but I am hoping it's some version of something that is obvious. Kyle Shanahan, I think, has a great description. He happened to, be in Cabo when that NFC Championship was being played, and he said, I was with at a restaurant bar, and all the people in Mexico who had no idea of the rules of football, they knew that wasn't right. Like it should be something that obvious,
right,
and that should be overturned. But the ticky-tack stuff, let's leave that alone and let's just play.
Do you have a conversation with Kyle about what his standard is going to be to throw the flag? Or, I mean, is there like
we're having a lot of those conversations, and he is with his staff, and I think that's going to be part of the strategy, and I think that's going to be fun to see play out. And so and I think, again, going back to experience, you never really know, and I think oftentimes we build it up. This is going to be a huge change in football, and then it really isn't. And so I'm hopeful that that's the case, and that it really is for those few circumstances that are really materially changed the game. But I don't have the answer on that right now. But yeah,
well, take off the suit and put the business card away. What would John Lynch, the Pro Bowl player, have thought about this?
As a defensive guy, I probably thought it was garbage. Yeah. One thing I figured out early, I remember Herm Edwards saying, Lynchburg, because I could be, the back judge as a safety. You were back there with him a lot. And he used to say, if you just nice to that guy back there, if you call him, imagine if you went back there and these guys are getting yelled at, getting called all kinds of names, you just say, hello, how's your family? And you say their name. Hi, Rich, how you doing? How's your family? You have no idea how long that will go. And it took me about till year 4 or 5, and took Herm Edwards to tell me. And I used that the rest, and they usually treated me really well back there.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live, or download the Rich Eisen Show app.